So Alyssa is going to go cook some dinner, and I have a particular mission to get some conduit laid in our trench. I talked to our concrete pump guys, and I talked to the concrete company, and they're going to bring sand for us in 2 days, and I've got to make sure that we're ready to backfill our trench. We had a lot of, I don't know, just lack clarity about how to maximize this trench. If you haven't seen our water system video, we'll link to that. We dug this crazy trench on the side of a hill full of rock through the tree roots and whatnot, and it's a trench we don't ever want to dig again. We're trying to really maximize that trench. So we laid two encasements, whatever you call them, so that if we ever needed to run a water line or something like that, we could simply slide the water line through the encasement. We wouldn't have to dig the trench back up. We feel really good about that. It's just a little bit of cheap insurance for the plumbing that we did install. We installed really high-end plumbing, so all of that stuff we feel like is just good insurance. We're trying to think the same way about electrical. One, our internet service actually is from over the hill. It's an antenna in a tree. And right now we have a conduit that is above ground, and it's just sitting on the ground. We don't want that to be there long term. It was just a short-term solution. We had nowhere else to put it. We'd like to get that buried underground. So we're laying a conduit for that. We also aren't sure exactly where down the road we want to drill a well, and we're not sure where that's exactly going to end up. So we want to lay a conduit for an electrical line in case we were to need to run a pump of some kind on the well. And since several months ago we ran conduits out and set these posts in the ground, these are simply for electrical boxes so that we have convenient outlets at convenient locations like our hot tub deck. We're going to be pumping heavy grit sand into this trench. Unlike a normal trench where you could backfill 18 inches and then lay your conduit and then backfill another 18 inches, we're going to have to backfill this all at one time. So we need to have everything in this trench that needs to go in here right out of the gate. That creates a problem though. These water lines, which are down here, and these electrical lines need to be spaced apart. So we're going to need to find a way to support the electrical lines so that when we pump the sand in here, they're not all just compacted together. Prior to our timber frame workshop, we had forecasts for single-digit temperatures, and at the time, all of our plumbing was exposed. And as a reaction, we took all the planer shavings that Alyssa was creating and bagged them up and then poured them into the trench. And I'm happy to report that I think we saw around 9 degrees for about 3 days, and we didn't have any issues with our plumbing freezing. But now I've got to go through and find these conduits again. One of the problems that we had last winter when we started this project was the ground froze and it never thawed, which is very rare here, about a 20-year occurrence. So we had this trench open all winter and there was nothing we could really do to stop it. So when the spring came, we had 4 feet of snow, and then we got 6 inches of rain on top of that. And the ground became very, very saturated, and the trench started to cave in. So we spent over a week cleaning up this trench just to get our water line installed. And in the last 10 days, we have had 4 inches of rain, and it's causing this trench to cave in again. This time it's not that big of a deal because our water lines are already buried, so it's sort of kind of helping us. Hey, Bugaboo. Hey, dude. You coming over? What are you doing? Are you gonna help? No? So we've got to get this backfill for a lot of reasons, but again, this trench is already starting to cave in. Hey, what are you doing? Are you plumbing inspector today? Are you electrical inspector today? What are you doing? Okay, you glue it and I'll attach it, okay? One of the other reasons that this project has really probably become one of the biggest projects on our property is that not long before we started that project, I had a back injury that escalated throughout the year. And by the time we had started this project, I was in really bad shape. And so for the first time on this project, injury was becoming a factor and keeping us from getting work done. Little did we know that we would have this huge trench wide open and we would be risking a week of work because I wasn't able to finish a project that I had started. My point is, since then, I've been doing much better. A lot of exercises, stretches, especially stretches, and I'm feeling most days 85%. I have good days and bad days, and it's helping me to get moving again and get these projects done. I'm very, very excited to be done with this trench and with this particular project. Still never gets old coming up here and seeing both the view and what we are slowly building. It's taken a lot of patience and I guess a lot of vision, but we're slowly building the thing that we saw when we first walked onto this property. So stuff like this that's starting to cave in, it's gonna become a problem. This is too shallow. Thankfully it's fairly surface, so it can be easily moved right now. This happened last year, of course, and the problem was it had all winter to compact, and by the time spring came, we almost couldn't even move these cave-ins. They'd become almost one piece with the earth. Again, this one's not too bad. That's pretty good. I'd be happy with that depth for those conduits. Looks like I have maybe 100 feet to go. If I can get that done before dark, that'd be really good. Almost done. Definitely running low on light. So I guess tomorrow I'll dive back into this project, a little more daylight. I need to bring these conduits up out of the ground, probably over here on the side of the trench. And then we need to actually set a post in here and concrete it in so that we can join those to the post. And then the light's not visible right now because it's so dark, but I'm sorry, the wire's not visible, but there's actually a blue tracer wire over here. And we'll get all that routed right here, and then we'll be ready to bring those conduits up out of the ground. And this part of this project will be finished for now. I feel very under the gun to get not just like bullet list items done before winter. I feel like we still have a tremendous amount of work to get done before winter gets here, and that's not including the house. We still have a lot of backfill to do around the foundation on the house, which reminds me I forgot to call today and order rock for that. I cannot wait to get off this hill. It's treacherous in the daylight, and it's really treacherous at night. And then we've got to get our septic connected, which I meant to actually phone the inspector today and confirm that there will be no issues with us doing that. They're not going to make our lives difficult. I actually spent quite a bit of the day today on the phone, not doing work, even though it was a beautiful day, talking with our engineer and discussing some of the lingering questions about our timber frame and preparing for the sit panels. It was a very necessary conversation. There was some things that I did not understand and had some clarification on some things. Today, instead of removing things from the list, we just added a bunch more, but it's good things. It makes my mind feel better, so I'm okay with the long to-do list if I feel like I understand what we're doing and I feel like we're making progress. So feels good to get that conduit to the top of the hill. Let's see, today's Monday, so Thursday, so 3 days. I've got to get that post set tomorrow, and then probably need to do a little bit of securing of that conduit because gravity's going to want to pull it down the hill. That'll feel really good. I really hope that we can get the wires pulled through all these conduits and get all these boxes installed before winter. It'll just be that much more convenient to have power in some of our high use areas. Of course, none of this revolves around getting the house livable or getting a power system in the house, etc. These are all just kind of creature comforts that we started on earlier in the year and did not finish. I feel like the next 60 days are the hardest days of the year for me. I feel that the limited daylight makes everything harder, and it's very frustrating because I feel apprehensive to start projects when I feel like I cannot finish them. I did get the backhoe lighting working, and I have some LED lights on order. I'm hoping that those lights work well and they're a good fit for the backhoe. I think that that'll help me with some tasks. I feel like I can work at night as long as I've got good lighting. So we're trying to adapt to winter time, which is for most people a time to slow down. And unfortunately for us, it feels like we just have to keep at the same ridiculous pace that we've been at for months.